Are you wondering how you can contribute to Funniest Thing?
Don't flip out. Go to patreon.com/funniest thing.
Whoa!
Oh!
That would have been crazy. Welcome to the Funniest Thing,
Yes.
where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
That's correct.
I'm Darrell.
And I'm Ed.
And we're broadcasting live from CHOBO Studios in
beautiful downtown Van Nuys. Before we go any further, there's been a little mistake on Indy's end. Once again, his whiteboard.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
There's an error on your whiteboard over your shoulder. It says Funniest Thing with Larry and Leon.
I was watching Curb way too much last night. Sorry.
Yeah, this is a JB Smooth type hat. Smooth hat.
Yeah, it is. I love it.
Perfect timing for that.
And he also is wearing, thanks to Rod Schweitzer, who actually fills our cups with delicious cold brew, a Groundworks hat. Thank you, Rod.
Yep. Thank you, Nancy Norman, the amazing Reverend New Thought teacher, minister who gave us these mugs. And if you're not on YouTube and you want to see what we're doing, go to YouTube. Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. You can subscribe. The subscriber number has been going way up, which is nice considering when people subscribe to us, it's not because we have celebrities on the show. It's just because these teachings speak to them. So that always feels good.
Yeah, they're actually benefiting from what we're sharing just as much as we are.
It's incredible. And
speaking of benefiting from an episode, this one is really a great topic.
Yes, we got the title from Amy Bacheller,
who's our guest.
Are we going with this abridged version here?
Yeah, it's never too late.
It's never too late with Amy Bacheller. I think the original title she suggested was "It's never too late to learn something new."
To learn something new.
But I like this. It's never too late with Amy Bacheller. It's never too late, and you're never too old to do something new unless you think so. Today, we get out of the mental habit of using our age to justify why we're not trying new things. Discouraging yourself is not God's will. The young at heart are always looking forward to new experiences, opportunities, and adventures. And I would say when I'm feeling young at heart, you know this feeling, the young at heart is just, are you young at heart in this moment? The only reason I'm saying this is because I used to think of the young at heart as some people out there, but it's a choice that we get to make to be young at heart and look forward to. And even if we haven't been feeling young at heart, we can make the change. We can make the switch. And that's what this show is really all about. That's what this whole program is all about. And that's what these teachings are all about. So the young at heart are always looking forward to new experiences, opportunities, and adventures. Let's join them. On this episode, Darrell and Ed drive home the fact that the future is friendly. And God is cheering us on when we step beyond the limits we made up for ourselves. Man, that is the truth. That is, you hear even ministers will say, you know how it is in this world, there's reason to feel miserable. The thing is, these teachings are about co-creating with God and recognizing that the God is friendly, God is on the road ahead, that human beings have been wrong about the future throughout history.
Yeah.
Majority of people who make predictions about what's going to happen were totally off base. They thought they were going to fall off the edge of the earth. They thought the world was going to end. But lo and behold, Darrell and Ed are live in Van Nuys right now, for crying out loud. If those people had been right, we would not be here. So the harmonious, holistic health practitioner, sound bowl maestro, Amy Bacheller from Unity. Well, we know her from Unity of Santa Barbara. She's in Santa Barbara right now at her lovely house. Gets us in tune with the infinite with today's reading, Divine Order. And if we're lucky, we might get a little sound bowl experience in the second segment. And I love sound bowls. I love the way it touches you deep in some way that's indescribable.
Well, it gets you right in tune. I feel like I'm in tune with Divine Order.
Yes.
So we're going to hear those a little later. This just reminded me of a quote. I'm not sure if it was Jack Warner or Samuel Goldwyn who said, "Never make predictions, especially about the future."
Oh, yes. Yes. So thank you, Indy, by the way. Let's thank Indy while we're here. We saw him in his beautiful
Hey, yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, I know you slept in a little bit, but sometimes you need to, man. And lo and behold, here we are.
Yeah, we were doing a studio upgrade past 3 days, and I had a late night last night. Trying to
Well,
get
there you
everything
go.
ready
Well,
for the show today.
thanks for pulling it together. Thank you, Jeff Comfort, out in Kansas City, Kansas. Man, our show would not have continued, certainly not in the way that it did.
Well, yeah, and if you're listening to us
Oh,
on
yes.
podcasts, audio version of our show, which if you don't already know about, if you've been a
Yes.
YouTube subscriber, you could listen to us in your car,
Yes.
on your walk,
Yes.
anywhere you go, wherever you listen or download podcasts, just
That's right.
type in funniest thing, !
Right.
with Darrell and Ed.
Yep.
And we're there thanks to Jeff Comfort, because
Right.
each week
He takes us
right into the comfort zone. Yes.
So, let's hear the jet go by. Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because for a long time we were just audio, and then we would tell people to join the YouTube. But now there's probably people that have joined YouTube, and even just like being young at heart, even if you've never listened to a podcast, we had never listened to podcasts until we started the show. When, I think maybe then we started listening to Discovering Eric Butterworth, and Darrell would send me some things.
Yeah.
But there's a whole universe of things you can be listening to in podcast apps. So you probably have one. If you have a smartphone, you probably already have the app, whether it's Spotify or something else. And it really is a great way to digest this. I listen to this show and other shows when I'm driving down the road or when I'm taking a shower. And it just, like you said about the sound bowls, it's really retuning my consciousness to this greater reality of good.
Yes.
And I used to think it would be extreme to only listen to this and type of stuff, but the majority of what I listen to is this stuff and what I read and what we talk about. So.
Yes, because it's not only life affirming, it's life transforming. And that's what today's topic is, because I know, I mean, unless you're a liar, I know every one of you, and we do it often, unfortunately, will catch themselves saying, well, I'm too old, or I don't know if I could do that now with everything I got going on.
Oh, yeah.
And these are limits we make up for ourselves.
That's the key.
And that's what makes it feel difficult. Seneca, the great philosopher, said...
There's an iced tea named by that name also. Go ahead.
Yes, said things aren't difficult. Things aren't difficult because... Oh, now I can't think. What he's saying. Oh, my God. Things are only difficult because we say they are.
Yeah.
Things aren't actually difficult.
That's right. I agree.
And once we just have enough faith to break free from those limits we made up for ourselves, I guarantee, and I'm sure all of you experience this, just like I have many, many times, because I don't want to admit it, but I do. We put limits on ourselves.
Yeah.
But as soon as I step outside this fictitious limit,
right,
I feel like a thrill inside me.
100%.
Every time.
Yeah, these spiritual principles are really only fully working when I, in my own heart, feel them and know that I am loved and excited by life. That's when we know they're working. I was thinking about that very thing this morning. We talked about this. We can let it be easy. And, a lot of us, I was texted Darrell last night that a lot of us have confused punishment with love. We subtly punish ourselves, hold on to punishing beliefs, and don't even realize that we can change them, because we all knew this stuff at one point. We still do somewhere inside of us. And that's why when the light bulb goes on and you feel that feeling, it's like, I get to be myself again.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when I was younger, I might unwittingly, and then as I got older, somewhat wittingly, like say something that like about how great life is or what life can be. And someone around me who was clinging to these fearful and had lost touch with it might get angry and say, how dare you even say that? How dare you believe that?
Oh, I got a great thing to read. I can't believe you're saying this.
A lot of this stuff, as we age, like one thing gets piled on another, but the truth is the now is the access point. Affirmative prayer is the golden key, which just means reminding ourselves of the divine presence and being receptive to it, so that, because it's not something we have to really even create. It's something that we become receptive to. It starts flowing through us, and we know it when it does.
Well, I'm going to read two little short things here just to break these myths up about being too old or it's too late. The idea of the mind aging is very largely a superstition, which psychology has pretty much well exploded. This is from Norman Lundy's book, You Unlimited.
Yes.
Experimenting to determine how the learning ability varied at different ages, psychologists discovered that the man of 95 learns as well as the child of 5. One of the greatest works of metaphysics, which is what we talk about on the show, is exploding the idea that exaggerated deterioration must come with years. I will tell you what causes exaggerated deterioration. Playing it safe accelerates age. Playing it safe, telling myself, no, I better stay in the shallow end. It's too late to do that. What if this happens?
Right.
What if I don't do it well enough? Are people going to laugh? That is what accelerates age. And here's an example of somebody he's going to refer to. Dr. Adela Chadwick, a cousin of the late Ernest Holmes, had just turned 90. 90. She, Herbert Hoover, and Winston Churchill consider themselves exact contemporaries. She still teaches. Wondering how it felt to be 90, a reporter in his 40s said, "I'm tired now and about ready to give up." Dr. Chadwick laughed. "Oh, don't give up. I was an old woman when I was 60. I didn't have these teachings, but I'll be back in 10 years to tell you how it feels to be 100. And she says this with enthusiasm because her life is rich. And he goes on to give the example of these 3 great tools that we use all the time, whether we understand them or not. And this goes right along to what you were saying. And this is one of those readings we didn't plan reading, but when you shared what you shared, I go, oh my God, that's right.
That's why it's so exciting too, because we are receiving this stuff in real time. And
yes.
We get these little nudges from the universe, and then, yeah. Great.
So here's the 3 great tools. And remember, these are the 3 great tools which we use all the time, whether we understand them or not.
Let's hear it.
Okay. However, many people misuse them with dire results. Here are the 3 tools. They accept that it is man's fate to be miserable.
Oh, my God.
They have faith in lack and disease. Their mental pictures of themselves is as a mediocre person.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, they're always saying instead of using their faith, hooking it into what is true, which is accepting the idea or the belief that it's man's fate to be happy and whole and joyful.
Yeah.
And have faith, which means investing your belief or having a expectancy of prosperity and health.
Yeah.
And opportunities instead of, because whatever we put our faith in, we can expect, because it is expectation is faith.
Yes.
Joyful expectation is really what I like to consider faith, and fear is morbid expectation.
Right.
So we got to put our faith in the good and then have a mental picture. How many of us do this? I do this a lot. When I'm thinking about myself or I think I'm about to do something, I don't always think, oh, this is going to be easy and fun. I usually start creating a mental picture of myself as mediocre.
I hear that. Yes.
But we're saying this is the only things that are getting in our way. These 3 tools that are within ourselves to change. We could change this. And here's we've never read from this book. This book, is that a spiritual book? It says how to be an artist. Well, listen, folks, everything's metaphysical.
Creative.
Everything is spiritual.
Everything is art also.
Yes.
A creative act.
So this is How to Be an Artist by Jerry Saltz. And you don't have to be an artist to appreciate it. And chapter 12 is called Start Now. So many people waste so much time worrying that it's too late to start.
Yeah,
Ed did that when he was 7.
that's so true. I can't play basketball. Those kids out there have been playing for years.
Since they were 4.
Yeah.
We all have done this. It's insanity. That's insanity.
It is insanity.
So they give their energies to excuses for why they can't get to work. Bullocks. Many great artists, writers, actors, and others started late. Henry Rousseau didn't begin painting until he was in his 40s. Julia Margaret Cameron didn't become a photographer until she was 48. One of America's greatest so-called outside artists, Bill Traylor, a former slave, didn't start making art until he was 85. And I think this is the key to giving ourselves permission to do it. Tell your own story and you'll be interesting.
Yeah.
That's Louise Bourge. How do you say that? I always get it wrong. You're French.
I'm not going for that.
I thought you speak French.
We should have practiced that before. I'm not
Louise Bourgeois.
Go for it.
So anyway, she's an artist. Bourgeois.
Yes. Is it like the bourgeois class?
No, because listen what she says. Don't be reined in by other people's definitions of skill or beauty, or be cramped by what is supposedly high or low.
Yes.
Take baby steps and take pleasure in those baby steps. Even when you're making it up, make it your own. We can give ourselves permission to be ourselves. And man, that's when magic happens.
Yes.
And I got this great definition of these 2 words, because these 2 words we could use one of them against ourselves in times like this, when we're deciding to move ahead with something and encouraging ourselves.
Right.
And just remember, folks, discouraging yourself is not God's will. Criticizing ourselves is a defect of character.
Mm-hmm. True.
It's not. It's a misuse of our brain to be discouraging ourselves. You can ask God to remove it. So these are the words blessed and cursed. The word blessed means empowered to succeed. It means having favorable and desired outcomes. The word cursed means to be restricted and confined by our own definitions, labels, and beliefs about ourselves and our past. So whenever we're cursing something, we got to realize that we're restricting whatever that idea is and ourselves by our own definitions, labels, and beliefs about ourselves and our past.
Yeah.
Whereas thinking faithfully, thinking youthfully, and blessing is always an empowering, invigorating consciousness, and it creates favorable and desired outcomes.
That's why in Francis Wilshire, in this book, Secrets, Francis Wilshire is an amazing truth teacher, writer. I'm not sure. We tried to look into her before.
We couldn't find it. She has 2 books.
This book was written in 1941. One of them is called You, and one of them is called Secrets. They're very short and very
potent.
Lovely the way she writes. And in this book, this chapter, on page 17 in Secrets, she says, when your thoughts and feelings of joy, love, and acceptance are as harmoniously and softly blended together as moonlight on a lake, your mystic radiance is alive and will charm your desire right to you. If you send it out in a continuous flow and sustain this feeling until a satisfied feeling of peace comes back to you that all is well. This satisfied feeling of peace means that you know your desire is on its way to you.
Well, it's reminding ourselves that whatever it is, we can let it be easy. A couple of weeks ago, Ed and I left the studio and we went to go eat in Burbank at Pinocchio's.
The Burr, yeah.
Italian restaurant, which is one of our routines.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, I got a text from Lori, my wife, about, are you going to get a grill today?
Oh, yeah.
Now, I had promised I was going to get her a grill.
Uh-huh.
She wanted a gas grill. Not that she needs my permission. She just needs me to be the guy who
Lugs it
back to the house and puts it together. That's the promise, not any approval from me. You know, she could order whatever she wants. So I don't want you to give you that impression. But the burden of going to get it, find it, pick it out, make sure I pick the right one at the right price, like all this agonizing, limited, constricting ideas.
Right.
So I told her, I'll get it this coming weekend.
Right.
Well, wifey never forgets. So right after we're done eating, we did the show. I'm high as a kite. She goes, "Oh, I'm excited. I got meat, because you're getting the grill today." And I'm like, I said, "Okay." And I'm looking at Ed, and Ed goes, "Well, you know what? It'll probably be easy."
Yeah.
And as soon as I relax, just be willing to let a little bit of that in with not fighting it.
Right.
So I know enough not to argue against a friend who's actually saying a truth. So I just continue to eat, and all of a sudden I said, "Wait a minute. Isn't there a hardware, like a hardware store nearby? Like right next door?"
Right.
And it was like some like privately owned. It's not like a
what is it called? DIY?
Yeah, it's not a Home Depot or anything.
Right.
This is like a little local town.
But it's a big old place.
One
place
building.
I've never heard of before.
Yeah, it's a place we never heard of because it's family owned. So I just said, you know what? They might have a grill.
Right.
I walk in there. Not only do they have the perfect grill, they have the perfect price.
And it's right in the front when we walk in.
As soon as I walk in.
The grills.
And because part of me was thinking they're not going to have grills. It's fall, because it was
right.
And it was on sale. I get it. They have the gas, the container. I'm so excited. They gave me a military discount on top of it.
Yeah.
And Ed kept going, "Isn't this amazing? She just called, and look at this.
Yeah.
How does this happen?" You do realize like this was a head egg of a thing.
Right.
And it didn't even take up any of our time.
Yeah.
We continued to do our normal Burbank walk, visiting the characters we normally visit after the show. And then when I got home, Stephen Sidlow just got done with his acting.
Tom Thorpe. For those that know him from the show.
Yeah, and I asked him, "Hey, do you think you could help me?" Because the kid at the store said it'll only take you 45 minutes. Like it's mostly together.
Right.
But when I got home, none of it was together. It was
That's
basically
right.
just a box of screws.
Oh, yeah. The guy really, his name was Bono, no less.
I know, Bono. I should have known better.
Yeah, right. And he was like very confident. He said, I put these together myself. I did the training, and it's all you got to really do is there's one little stand. You got to put a few screws in, and you're good to go. And then you guys got together. It was like a Lego box.
Yeah, it was a Lego box.
Lego pieces and screws.
But we did it, and Lori was cooking up chicken that evening. But this is, what does that have to do about being too late to learning something new? Has everything. Because it's in these everyday things that we tell ourselves, it's too late, it's too much, it's going to be hard. That's what this show is about.
Yeah, remember when you're a kid and there's an adult around and they always had like a curmudgeonly thing to say that really defined them as who they were and made them feel like someone you might not want to be around. So it really is those little, they were probably thinking, "Oh, this is no big deal," but it really is those little things that stack up and make us who we are in the eyes of others, in the eyes of our own mind.
Yeah, and
it starts with our own valuation of ourselves.
Well, we begin to go along with the positive with less of a fight. And this sounds insane, but unfortunately, for some reason, because we're inundated with so much negativity that, whether we're looking on social media or the news or some people we look up to may say some things that are discouraging, we tend to go, it's not always the first thought is, yippee, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
However, by applying this stuff on a daily basis and committing to, I'm going to believe in these two knuckleheads on this show. They seem reasonably happy. They're telling stories about everyday life. So if they could apply spiritual principles or Christian philosophy, all the philosophies, actually, in a practical way to everyday living and get results, then I'm going to give it a shot. And you know what? You're going to get results, and they're going to be positive. The results you get from taking on these beliefs is never negative.
Yeah.
The results are never worse. They're always better.
Yeah, you got to think, how often do I actually, this is what I've been learning because I've been experiencing a new level of realizing that if I'm not saying anything about what's going to happen, then I'm missing an opportunity to say, this is going to be the most amazing show ever. This is going to be the most amazing day ever. I'm amazing. It's like almost so many of us lack that praise in our lives that we don't realize it's missing until we reinsert it, which is, and realizing that our own voice, a lot of us don't know how powerful our own voice is in our own life because maybe we weren't encouraged or shown the way, or maybe we were around other people who didn't feel like they had empowered voices. But we do. You know, let's read this card from Kirky. It's a postcard from Kirky. You can send us something at, what's our address here? 1312, funniest thing, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California, 90232. His postcard has a blue monkey on the front. It says, I effed everything up. It doesn't say F, but I'm going to say that. I effed everything up, or I messed everything up, and now I'm running away. And that could be what a lot of people harbor inside, which is what leads to that age thing too, is we don't realize that the universe, God is not holding anything against us. We're the only ones holding anything against us in any kind of meaningful way. And we need to take out the garbage in our mind and replace it with affirmative thoughts sometimes. So he says, gentlemen, once you have said a prayer, you must fully step into the consciousness of what you have prayed for and not backpedal into thoughts, words, or actions that underscore the condition you are praying to heal. Yeah. Words and actions after a prayer must uphold it, not refute it. Prayer is not something you do once and then go back to the state of mind that moved you to pray. Rather, it is a consciousness you establish that moves your life in a new direction and then sustains it. And that's a quote from Alan Cohen. So thank you, Kirky, for that.
I had to do that last night because I was getting concerned about physical healing.
Yeah.
And, I prayed, okay, God, you're going to take care of this. I'm going to let go and let God work in my affairs. But then I would just keep thinking, is it still hurt? Is it going to get infected? All this.
I do, yeah.
I'm refuting the prayer.
Right.
So you know what I started doing? What? Because we were at Nancy Norman's Infinite Prosperity Workshop.
Yeah.
And she said, this one fella said the best way to stay young is to start what he called youthing. And his youthing method was very simple. Just get into the habit when you wake up, say thank you. So I go, okay. So I started because I couldn't fall asleep because my mind was back and forth awfulizing this idea after I just prayed to have God handle it.
Right.
So I just started, thank you for this healing. And then I started thanking everything.
Wow.
Thank you for my prosperity. Yes. Thank you for my health. Thank you for my creativity. Thank you for ease in everything I do. And that was a good way, a good tool in that moment to keep my mind from doing what Alan Cohen
slipping back.
Yeah, suggests we watch out for, which is going back into the idea that preceded the prayer.
Right.
Which is, nothing's going to work. This isn't going to turn out well.
Right.
No, just get into the thanking, or what this gentleman, I can't recall his name, called youthing. Because thanking keeps us young.
Yeah, you got it. It's like the story we've been telling a lot about the guys by the healing river, the healing waters, and no one ever brings him into the water. And he's like, I'm screwed. I've been here 30 years, Jesus. And then he says, do you want to be made whole or something like this?
And he goes, well, do you want to be made whole?
Yeah, of course I do. I've been sitting here 30 years. What do you think? And then he says, pick up your mat and walk. And that mat is our consciousness.
Yes.
A state of mind we've been resting on, sitting on, hoping someone else is going to come along and carry us. But we need to stand up, give thanks, change the things I'm doing. That's why lately I've been going for a little jog just to remind myself I can create my own vibration and do things, not just sit around and wait, because in the past I was quite the waiter. Oh, by the way, we want to bless the Patreon contributions to our public service ministry over here. Michelle Marie, who's on there, says, you guys rock. I love rocking with you. The Joy Show with Paulette Pipe was amazing. Got Reverend Geraldine from Unity of the Northwest, Indiana, listening to you now, and more to come.
Wow.
Yes, I keep going back to all the fun we had together at Unity Village. Thank you for being there. We got a breath from the trailer choir. But you know what? I was at a wedding, and one of the things I've been trying to not do is I've been learning to do. Just don't start cursing people.
Yes.
Sometimes I don't even have it in me to bless them just yet, but I'm just like, well, what if I just sit and just don't curse? And I had my little book, and I started writing what was going well, because I felt like cursing. I felt like a fish out of water. I was beating myself up. I wrote down an appreciation list. That appreciation list ended up winning us a point, because they did. I got put together with these volleyball players and this table of like the non-family members
at the wedding.
At the wedding, they love the fact that I surf. We were talking about this and that, but then I won a point because I had been writing in this journal, and they were doing like, hold up your phone if you have a picture with a celebrity, or if you have a paper clip,
you win. It's like win. That's like that show where you have to dress in a costume. Do you have a penguin in your bag?
Yeah, okay.
What is that show?
I have no idea.
Come on, you used to watch it. Drew Carey teaches it.
Oh.
The Price is Right. Oh, no. Let's make a deal.
Let's make a deal.
Whose line?
No, let's make a deal.
So anyway, I had that book in my hand because I was using it for my own sanity. And he says, anyone have a book? A real book? And I hang it, I hold it up, I get a point. Next thing I know, I'm doing the hula hoop competition because I was the only one at the table who knew how to do hula hoop. Then I got pulled onto the dance floor by this lady, the sister of the groom, and her whole family loves dancing. I was kind of half hiding, and all of a sudden, I'm like stiffly dancing with this lady and they were like cutting a rug, and I felt almost like beating myself up.
Oh yeah.
But I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to. And all I started doing was counting the beats, and 1 and 2, and I just started marching. And then slowly the marching turned
into dancing.
I said, I play music, I play a guitar, I like to move. And I said, I'm going to approach this thing like I'm playing a song. I just counted the beats, and before I knew it, I danced for like 2 hours. People were saying, you're a great dancer. I felt like family. I hugged everyone because there's Korean people who didn't speak English. There's all sorts of different characters. One guy looked like a little, what's his name? Dudley Moore. We became good friends. We were hopping up and down in his leisure suit. It was an incredible experience. Then I got in my car and drove happily home.
Folks, if you Google madman doing crazy air guitar moves at wedding, you will see what Ed just described. Yeah, it's Ed. The videos of Ed at this wedding.
Sometimes you got to put it in God's hands. Just stay out of the cursing part. You may want to curse with everything inside you, but really, I have to tell myself I don't want to do that to myself, because that's really what it is. When I start cursing others, it's re-inflicting past pains and things and making them more real for myself, and I just don't want to do that anymore.
No.
So the trailer choir has a little song. The original lyrics, it turned into a song called "It's Better with a Beer." But we happen to know one of the members of the trailer choir. We got the original lyrics.
It was better with a cheer.
Yes. So let's take. You want to do the first one since you love this song so much?
Okay. We have a little saying around here. It's better with a cheer.
We got a little saying around here. It's better with a cheer.
Okay. Are we going to do have or got?
Got.
Okay.
We got a little saying around here. It's better with a cheer. Man, imagine if every lesson at a school was taught by a teacher who said, like someone was struggling, it's better with a cheer. We got a little saying around here. And I found out at the before we started the show that our guest who's coming up was a former special education teacher and is now a holistic healer. And so it's like, once again, perfect timing for me. So coming up next.
Wait, I thought you were going to say you found out she was a Dallas Cowgirls cheerleader.
Well, that was that was a little surprise we were going to say for the second segment. But coming up next, the harmonious Amy Bacheller gets us in tune with the infinite with today's reading, Divine Order. We got some other great stuff coming up. Thank you for listening to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed right here from CHOBO Studio. Very thoughtful today.
Well, we made it to the second segment, Ed.
Yes, we did. And we're going to bring in our guest.
Yeah, today's show is...
Today's show is called...
It's Never Too Late.
Never Too Late.
Is that not it?
That's the show.
It's Never Too Late with Amy Bacheller.
Yes. I just want to read a real quick reading from Sue Hodgson. She sends us a daily email with truth teachings in it. Her email is shodgson, HODGSON 31 at gmail.com if you want to get this reading. Every morning a new reading. My wife's now on the list. Great. So the reading that really spoke to us for the show is from God Will See You Through by Mary Kupferle. With that book right there is pure medicine from cover to cover.
Yes.
Can't go wrong. Every chapter is very simple and just right to the point. This is your day. You need not be concerned about tomorrow, next month, or next year. Every moment is a new moment. As the moments come, accept them as opportunities to take hold of new faith and courage, new wisdom and love, new joy and happiness. The more fully you accept God's gift of today, the more fully you prepare yourself for a wonderful tomorrow. The courage you take hold of this moment will build within you a tower of strength for every overcoming. The faith you lay hold of right now will widen your horizons. This is your day. This is your day to praise and to bless, to give and to receive, to love and to be loved, to laugh, to sing, to rejoice. Live it fully, live it lovingly, live it freely and joyously, for this is your day. In our day, we'll now be blessed by none other than Amy Bacheller. How are you today, Amy?
Hey, good morning, Ed and Darrell. I'm good, and I'm blessed and grateful and honored to be here with both of you. Thank you.
You are welcome, and I know you are a professional who has come supercharged to share today. So right off the bat, we always like to ask our guests if there's something bubbling up that you'd like to jump right into and share, since you have sat in the green room and heard what we had to say. If you wanted to share some of your thoughts right now, that'd be great.
So, sure. I was writing notes. There's so many different things. So, part of why I'm here is because Darrell has heard me at Unity of Santa Barbara with my crystal bowls, doing sound healing, doing a meditation during the service. And so this whole thing with the bowls, I have a holistic healing practice sent from heaven that I've had for 30 years. And so what we're talking about today, so many things that you were both talking about, weaving it all in, pertains to my journey with the bowls. So I can give you a brief rendition of that. Okay, they're nodding their heads. Yes, I'll go with that. Okay, so with my holistic practice, I've done sound healing for years. I've had tuning forks and Tibetan bowls, and I had one frosted crystal bowl, but I would use them more on people for like one-on-one healing sessions. And I've lived coast to coast, like Boston, Southern California, Northern California, back to Boston, and now Santa Barbara is home. I'm done. I tell my kids, bury me in the compost pile. But before Santa Barbara, I was in Newburyport, Massachusetts, north of Boston, and I had a holistic center. And we had a person coming in actually from LA to teach a weekend workshop on sound healing. And he had these specific bowls. These are called crystal alchemy singing bowls. And this was like almost 20 years ago. And it's the first time I saw these bowls, because they're a different quality, just a different resonance, a different vibration than the frosted crystal bowls that are like more common, if you will. And at that moment, when I saw those bowls, I fell in love with them. And I knew that I would have them someday, but I didn't know when or where or why. Okay. So fast forward to maybe 10 years ago, we were living in Santa Barbara, and there was we were part of Unity, the Unity here in Santa Barbara, and there was a guest speaker coming, a Unity minister, who was doing a weekend on sound healing, and he stayed in my house. He stayed here, and he had 30 crystal bowls. I was convinced, this was 9 years ago because my dog was a puppy. I was like so smitten with the bulls, and he wanted to sell them, and I wanted to buy one. And we sat on the floor in our guest room, and he played the bulls and showed me each one. And for whatever reason, I didn't feel like it was time. And it's like, Ed, you had mentioned when God nudges us, it's like my brain was like, I want a bull, I want a bull. But my heart was like, nope, these aren't for me now, not yet. So fast forward to like almost exactly 3 years ago, it was during COVID. And in the first year, so it was 2020, it was my birthday in September. And all of a sudden, I didn't get just a nudge from on high. I got like a 2x4 over the head of, it's time to get the bulls.
Wow.
It was like so strong. Like, so I hadn't even been thinking about them, but it just came in. The thought would not go away. It was like waves just coming in, get the bulls, get the bulls, get the bulls. I didn't have a clue where to go, what to do. I didn't know. So I just, everything you guys talk about, it's like, okay, God, I'm giving this to you. You want me to get the bulls? You show me where, when, how, what. And oh, by the way, make it easy.
Mhm.
So it's everything you've both been talking about. So I went online and I just Googled crystal bulls, and I found some different websites and went with, where the energy was more open. So I found a place online that was in Sedona. And I just ordering online, just following my guidance, following my heart, following my intuition. I picked out 4 bulls. And the person that owns this place, once she got them all for me, and they have a little video so you can hear them all. She said, "Oh my gosh, this is a harmonic set." She didn't even know it. And I didn't know what I was doing. I just picked them, listening to my guidance and feeling what resonated with me. It's like, nope, not that one, maybe that one, yes, that one. And that's how it started. It just like I got these 4 bulls online. And then the bulls, the notes of the bulls match the chakras. So I thought, okay, I want like 7 bulls eventually. So I just slowly over time started ordering a couple more bulls. And then one of my clients introduced me to this woman, Geraldine Glass, who's in LA. And she's like the bull mother. And her training is as an opera singer. She's like this international opera singer. And she went through this whole story of how she got into the bulls to heal her grief from the death of her son. And it was actually her son speaking to her from the other side saying, "Get the bulls, mom, get the bulls, get the bulls, get the bulls, get the bulls." And so I started studying with Geraldine and did this really deep dive for like 2.5, almost 3 years, just studying with her and getting certified in sound healing. And I don't know if you guys have kids who have stuffed animals, but for anyone listening who has stuffed animals, you know that they multiply during the night. Like all of a sudden you have more stuffed animals. That's what happened with the bulls. They started talking to me, and I would get nudges from on high of, okay, now you need a set for this. So I've got a lot of bulls. And I got an inheritance from my grandparents that came through when I was expanding my bull choir, and that's what paid for the bulls. So here I am, and I feel like so when this all started, it was 3 years ago. I was turning 66, and it's like, well, I could be slowing down now, but I feel like I'm just getting going. And I feel like the sound healing pulls together all of my training for these past 30 years, because I've got like 6 different certifications. And it's just taking it all to a whole new level, and a level of service. And yeah, I just feel like it's a soul's calling. It's absolutely a soul's calling. So here I am, because I played the bowls at Unity. And I ended up at Unity because during COVID, I wasn't there, and I wanted to connect with Reverend Kathy and Temple, who you've had on your shows, and Kathy's mom, Nancy Norman. And I was on a Zoom call with Kathy, and you see my background. And before I even opened my mouth, she's like, "Are those crystal bowls? Can you bring them to Unity?" And she told Temple about it. And Temple's like, "Forget that. Let's have her do like a sound healing evening, and let's bring her in on Sundays to do meditations." And so that's why we're here now, because Darrell heard me, and he's my biggest fan.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
I want you to demonstrate, if you would, for our viewers and listeners, because if you've never experienced this, and I would even say personally, you really should treat yourself to experiencing it in person, because there's something. I mean, you can enjoy it, hearing it if you have a recording of it. I'm not going to say that isn't beneficial. By all means, it is. However, when you're in the room and someone is playing these bowls, it is like my whole body, all the tension somehow miraculously just dissipates.
Yeah.
Not with even me consciously taking the effort like we do sometimes in meditation. It's almost instantaneous. And then it's as if everything in your body and your emotions starts to just harmonize. And when Amy did the meditation, all I knew was because I had been there many times, and the meditation is usually a really good meditation. The band plays meditative music in the background, and Kathy or Temple or somebody else does it. But when Amy went up, and all of a sudden I closed my eyes, not sure what's going to happen. I didn't know she had bowls up there. So I'm just, okay, well, this new person's going to meditate. I'm in, like I'm game. It's going to be great. But then I hear this sound. I'm like, oh my God, it's those bowls. Is she playing those bowls? And I didn't want to open my eyes to ruin it. I'm just in it. So every time Amy's there, I'm like, oh, thank goodness. I mean, it's pure medicine. So if you could, if you're willing to just do a little bit of what you do, it would be definitely appreciated.
Sure. Well, yeah. But I want to add one more thing in there too, based on what you were talking about in the beginning of give ourselves permission to be ourselves, because all the cursing ourselves, it's like, who am I to do this? And I'm not good enough, and I'm not young enough, and I'm not pretty enough, and I'm not sexy enough, and I'm not cute enough, or whatever, and I don't know enough. But it just, the push to do this was so strong, it just couldn't be denied. And I, in my training with Geraldine, she encourages us to use our voices. So I tone with the bowls, just so you know. But I had to go through this whole thing of like, does my voice matter, and is this good enough? And I have to add this really quick story.
Yes.
So I'm questioning about my voice, and is it good enough, and does it matter? Should I just play the bowls, and blah, blah, blah. And I get feedback from people of, oh, it's so wonderful, you use your voice, it's so different than anyone else, blah, blah, blah. So I got a phone call one day. I'm in my kitchen. The phone rings, it's FaceTime. I don't like FaceTime. I don't do FaceTime. It's a number I don't recognize. So I just ignore it. And then it calls back as a regular phone call. So I pick it up, and the guy's like, you FaceTimed me. What do you want? And I was like, I didn't FaceTime you. I don't know who you are. This is in the category of the universe does the funniest things.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we can't make this stuff up. So I'm telling him, I didn't FaceTime you. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. And he was like, well, I didn't do it. You did it. And I'm like, and so I just went, okay, look, obviously we're supposed to be talking. So who are you and what do you do? So it turns out he's like this sound healer, Wayne somebody in LA. He's written a book on sound healing. He teaches classes on sound healing. And so remember, this is in the phase where I'm wondering about, does my voice make a difference with my bulls? So I tell him, oh, that's really funny because I do sound healing with crystal bulls. And he says to me, don't ever forget the most powerful instrument that you will ever have is your own voice.
Whoa.
And I just was like, okay, God, I get it. I'm not questioning this anymore.
Wow.
I'm doing it. I'm just going to show up. I'm going to follow my guidance. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Oh, I'm so glad because your voice, when it segues, it's seamless. And I'm like, I remember the first time I was like, is that her voice? Because it was so seamless with the sound of the bowls. And I was like, oh my God, this is next level. So I'm so, man, this stuff is amazing, isn't it?
That's a great,
we doubt ourselves.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it's God saying, do it, do it, do it. And my mind's going, well, I don't know. But it's like that H. Emily Cady writing where the desire is God knocking at the door of our heart, letting us know, no, this is you. This is for you. And I would like you to be, this is what you should be doing. This is something you're good at inherently. Oh man, I love this stuff. And I love the way that all came about. These are the type of stories that keep us going, hearing these stories.
Agreed.
Totally. So I'm happy to do the bowls. How long do you want this?
As long as you like. We have 10 minutes, but you can go longer. I mean, we're not opposed here.
Yeah, when he says we have 10 minutes, that means the clock says 10 minutes, but we rarely
Yes.
the clock because our guests and us, we start feeling good and our blesses our listeners and our watchers.
Yes.
So
Okay.
it's better with a bowl.
It is.
What Indy always says.
Okay. So, can you hear this?
Perfectly.
Oh my God, beautiful.
Okay, yay. Okay, so these are Crystal Alchemy singing bowls. They all have a base of quartz crystal, a really high grade quartz. And then they have different substances melded in with them, different crystals, different minerals, different earth substances. And each note can be seen as correlating with the chakras, but I'll stop talking and just sink into the sound of the bowls. Let the sounds hold you, soothe you, heal you. like to end my sound baths with the Meta Loving Kindness prayer. May we be at peace. May our hearts remain open. May we awaken to the light of our own true nature. May we be healed. May we be a source of healing to all beings. And so it is.
Wow.
You know, when I was meditating this morning, I forgot all about this because it was rather early. The thought that came through me was, what voice do I need to hear to feel completely better right now? You know, oftentimes we're like waiting, whether it was a doctor or someone to say something like, oh, everything's okay, Ed.
Someone with authority.
Something, yeah. And I was
yeah.
like, what if I'm going to let that in right now. I'm just going to let that in. And so hearing your story, I forgot all about that till now. For one, hearing your voice, very healing. And then the next level, though, is what you said, which is really to hear my own voice.
Yeah.
But really surrender to my own knowing and let that voice be heard. That's what brings the sense of well-being. The deepest sense of well-being to me is when I'm fully expressed and I know who I am. You mentioned that you were a former special education teacher. Can you just share just a little bit about how that transition happened for you? I'm just curious because it's, so parallel to what I'm experiencing right now.
Yeah, so I was a special ed teacher with I got my master's at Lesley College in Boston. I specialized in early childhood. I was in elementary school in Hamilton Wenham School District, north of Boston. And I loved it. I loved teaching. I always wanted to teach. I would pretend to be a teacher or a doctor when I was little, playing games. And well, I had a big life transition if I had my first baby. So this is 39 years ago. So my baby's really big now. But yeah. And then when my maternity leave was up, my head was saying, I have to go back. I have to go back to work. And my heart was saying, no, we're kind of done with this now. So what I ended up doing was for a couple of years, I worked part-time for Lesley College, where I had gotten my master's, supervising student teachers. And it was part-time, and it was more, the hours were set by me. So it worked really, really well. And I actually taught a seminar in my house for my students.
Wow.
While my daughter took her 3-hour nap in the afternoon as a baby. So it worked out perfectly. Then I took off a little more time to have baby number 2. And then for those of you who have kids, 1 + 1 is way more than 2. So I decided I'm taking some time off. And that's how that happened. And then with my husband's job, we were moving from Boston to California for the first time. And I had been interested in nutrition for a really long time. That could be a whole nother podcast. When we moved to LA, we were in Westlake Village outside of LA, and I literally had clients falling into my lap for nutrition. And I wasn't certified. I just was studied a whole lot. And so that's when I got certified and really studied more deeply. And that was the start of my holistic practice.
Brilliant.
So I was teaching on a different level. And now I teach classes. I teach metaphysical classes, including the bowls, every Monday night. And I see clients. And because of Zoom, we can reach people all over the world. And yeah. So follow your heart, Ed. You know what to do.
Hey, thank you. That means a lot to me, and thankfully, I have a friend named Darrell, and Stephen and Indy, and people around me that are cheering me on as well. And hearing your story is really making that really clear because that part of me that I guess we'd call the heart has been telling me like I can't do this anymore. I can't do that. And I've been using my head and a lot of self-will, and you bless the heck out of a lot of things, but I've been leaving that part of myself behind, and that I can only last for so long. Rather, like and I've been using my voice more at work. I've been transforming that experience, but it's because I am listening more to that part of me that's just saying, can't do this anymore. And there's something much larger at that I can be doing. Just not. It's not. I don't mean large like relative. Large. You know what I'm saying? Large, expansive, energetically within me. That's wanting to be expressed. And so, yeah, it's good because I feel like I'm right on that point where it's like, okay, like one day I was walking to get the newspapers. I bring newspapers with puzzles for my staff so they can enjoy it during the day. These free newspapers, and Spirit was like, you could just keep walking in Santa Monica and not go back to your car, and we will take care of you. Like I'm feeling that.
Yeah, it's true.
That. Yeah, I'm feeling that. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Well, before we close, we did find a little trivia about Amy.
Yeah, we always find trivia about our guests. By the way, before I don't want to cut you off, but where can people get in touch with you, find out more about what the work you do or work with you?
Yeah. Okay, so funny you asked because I have a brand new website that just got updated, and includes more of who I am and what I'm doing now. So it's Sent from Heaven, SCENT, Sent from Heaven -SB for Santa Barbara.com. And that's where you can find me.
Wait. Sent from Heaven -SB.com. And we'll put that in anyone watching or listening, we'll put that in the link to the show.
Also
on the podcast and on the YouTube.
If you're in Santa Barbara, you do still do the Tuesday nights. Is that correct?
Yes. So at Unity in Santa Barbara, right now it's the 4th Tuesday of the month. So it's an in-person live sound healing. And then every Monday, I call it the Monday Wisdom Circle, and that's online. It's virtual. You can join from anywhere. And I do like an hour of teaching and then a half an hour sound bath. And so we're looking at angels and chakras, and one coming up is on the full moon, and then gratitude, and then the holy days. And and I charge $11 for those. I'm keeping the price as low as possible so people come back because we're really building a community.
And then where do people find that online? The Monday
on my website. They can register on my website.
Mm-hmm. And one last thing: what time on Tuesday, the 4th Tuesday during the day? What time in Santa Barbara?
That's at 7:00 in the evening.
Okay, 7 p.m., folks.
And then I'm sorry, you probably said it, but what's the Monday? What time is that one?
The Monday Wisdom Circle. That's at 4:30 Pacific time.
4:30 Pacific.
And that's 90 minutes. Yeah.
4:30 to 6 Pacific. Sent from Heaven.
And now are you going to share a little story?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Well, this show is called, originally the title that Amy gave us was, It's Never Too Late to Learn Something New. So this goes right along with that. Well,
or you're never too old to learn something.
You're never too old to learn something new. And we just trimmed it down to it's never too late, because that's the truth. And I used to, it's so funny because when I worked with a psychologist, Paul Pinniger, in college, amazing guy who worked with Carl Rogers, one of the first tapes I recognized, this is not the joke, one of the first tapes he pointed out when I realized that about like tapes that play in your head was, it's too late. That was like one of the big ones that he helped me to see. It just starts playing sometimes for me. So it's never too late.
It's never too late.
However, after Amy's first day of kindergarten, she had dinner, then started playing. Her mother came in and asked her what she learned at school that day. Amy crossed her arms and said,
"Not enough."
Her mother asked, "What do you mean?"
The teacher said I have to come back tomorrow.
Come on. Who goes to school for one day? Come on. All right.
I don't think I'm not sure Amy knows what to make of that. What I can tell you is be reassured. The worse the joke, it means the more we love the guest. So you're up there.
The laugh track will cover all that up. Don't worry. We'll put that in post. That'd be funny. We need to have a laugh track on that. Wouldn't that be great?
Tell comfort.
Well, you know what? Everything is really better with a cheer.
It is.
Such as a
Plane ride out to Vegas, skinny dipping in the pool, singing karaoke, a backyard barbecue, watching that old sunset disappear. It's better with a cheer. It's better with a cheer, y'all. Visit DarrellandEd.com to find easy
Amy
links.
Bacheller, we love you.
To everything we do.
/SB.com.
It's -SB.
-SB.com.
Thank you for being a part of Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. Better with a cheer, better with a buzz. Feeling like you do when you're doing what it does. You can have two, or you can have three. Spill a 6-pack with your company.
We got
a little saying around here. Life goes down a little better with a cheer. Yay!
$500.
Really?
See, $200 for you, sir. $100 for you.
What the heck? No.
$100 for you. No way. Are you serious? Yeah, I'll give you $100.
When you record your podcast at CHOBO Studios, you're helping people in need. Here at CHOBO, we take a bold stance on helping the community by giving away 10% of all revenue, not just profit, to kind, hard-working people in the streets of Los Angeles. And thanks to all these wonderful podcasters, we've been able to give $1,400 this year alone through our kindness initiative, CHOBO Kindness. Brought to you by CHOBO Studios, LA's premier podcasting powerhouse. Follow for more.